Hey, Undisputed listeners. Before we start the show, I wanted to tell you about our brand new Fox Sports app and website, foxsports.com. Reimagined for the modern sports fan. Go ahead, download the new app right now. You don't even have to pause this episode. Every day on the new app and website, you'll see the top stories in sports, plus a rich world of written content, videos, social media, and analytics to give you a 360-degree view of the most important stories of the day. Streaming live TV has never been so easy or elegant. Every Fox Sports game, including all pregame and postgame shows, are just one click away. For the extra invested fan, we also go deep with real-time wagering lines, trending prop bets, win probability, and key player projections. Download the new Fox Sports app or visit www.foxsports.com now. Let's start the show. Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. We've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it.
Let's get started and get right to it. Last night's game, rookie sensation Justin Herbert continued to impress, leading the Chargers to a 30-27 overtime win against the Raiders. Herbert also tied Baker Mayfield's rookie record for passing touchdowns with 27. Las Vegas was able to stay in the game despite losing quarterback Derek Carr and having Marcus Mariota step in. With the loss, John Gruden's chances of making the playoffs are dwindling as the team now sits at 7-7. So Shannon, what was your biggest takeaway from the game?
Well, Skip, I got two takeaways, but I'm going to go with my biggest ones first. Skip, Justin Herbert. And I hate saying this, Skip, because he's a rookie. But, Skip, he looked like the real deal. Skip, this dude can flat out throw the football. Now, I knew he had legs because I watched him win the Rose Bowl MVP, and I saw the way he got out of harm's way. And he did that. They won that game more with his legs than with his arms. But I heard people keep saying, but I'm like, well, damn, I don't see it. He looked like the freshman, Bo Nix, who's for Auburn. He looked like the upperclassman. Yep. So I'm like, I'm missing something. But everybody that kept evaluating said, man, his arm talent is undeniable. Skip, it's hard to deny it now. And like I said, I hate putting this kind of pressure on a young man so early because he is a rookie. But 7 300-yard games in his rookie year, that's never been done before. He broke Andrew Luck's record. He has more 50-yard completions than any other quarterback in the NFL. More than Russell, more than Mahomes, more than Rodgers, more than Brady. That's saying something. And he just so cool and so calm. And the throws that he's made, if you look at him, Skip, and we watched a lot of their games, they should be better than what they are. They had a 17-point lead against New Orleans. They had a 14, 17-point lead against Tampa Bay. They had my homeboy on the rope. And he made one mistake, and it ended up costing the game.
Wait, did Justin Herbert have the ball in those games?
Yes, he did. Oh. No, Skip. I'm saying he had a 17-point lead. Yeah. But as a young guy, you find as you go along, you find ways to finish the task. You just don't get the lead and just try to coast. But he made a mistake here, a mistake there, that ended up costing the game. But from what I saw last night, Skip, this dude is going to be to reckon with. And because he can run the football, he's not one of these just statues. He got better legs than people think. His arm talent is undeniable. And my second point is, Skip, when we going to give John Gruden some of this credit for this record? I mean, making $10 million a year, 4-12, 7-9, not 7-7. And really, Skip, he really should be 6-7 because if Greg Williams don't make one of the most boneheaded plays in the history of the game, they're 6-7. But Justin Herbert talent, for me, my eye test is undeniable, and tied Baker Mayfield with 27 total touchdowns with 2 games to play. So there's a great likelihood this kid is going to end up with over 30 passing touchdowns and maybe another 300-yard game. So, Skip, he was very impressive, and I don't see how Justin Jefferson, Skip, has been very good, too. But right now, that's your rookie of the year.
Okay. You done with your points?
I'm done.
Okay, I will take your 2 points in order, and I can't wait to get to your second point about John Gruden because I have a whole lot to say about that one.
That's your man now.
Still my man. Back to Justin Herbert. I will give you this. I did not see this man play football like this at Oregon, and I must have watched at least 5 games his junior and his last year. Did he come out early? I can't remember. It was his last 2 years at Oregon. But the point was, I watched a lot of Justin Herbert, and I never loved him because he had that tissue paper poise. It was disposable. It just came and went, and he just looked shaky to me. Like, I'm not sure what I'm doing in these big games. I think I might throw it to the wrong team. And it never looked right to me. He never seemed in total command of games. The Rose Bowl was the closest to being in total command, but it shocked me because he was not known as a runner, and yet he won the game with his legs. And I don't see him run that much in pro football, here and there, better than I thought.
Right.
But I will give you that he's been sensational, standing tall at 6'6", and strong in the pocket and throwing effortless rockets. Effortless rockets all over the field.
That
where I'm just
overtime skill.
He first caught my eye way back early in the season at Tampa Bay when he was suddenly ahead 24-7 because he was throwing rockets over that defense. That I should have seen that coming, because that Tampa Bay defense is rocketable deep. You can bombs away on Tampa Bay all day, but he couldn't close the deal.
Right.
And he couldn't close a whole bunch of deals. So I was happy for him last night. He finally closed a big deal on national television, live on Fox and the NFL Network, obviously, but former Dallas Cowboy, believe it or not. We had to let him get away because we were so loaded at receiver, but he's pretty good.
Right.
And once again, the decimated Raiders secondary, he ran right by them, and it was 53 yards down to whatever it was, the 2, and finally he went over the top and finally got it in the end zone. Justin Herbert did. Now, back to tying the rookie touchdown pass record of one Baker Mayfield. I'm glad you brought this up because you have termed Baker this year a game manager and a front runner. Let's go back quickly and compare rookie years, shall we? Because Baker started 13 games his rookie year, because remember, Hugh Jackson would not start him from the start.
Correct.
So he did start 13 games. Right. Justin Herbert has now started 13 games.
Correct.
But Justin Herbert has thrown 45 more passes to date through the 13 versus 13 than Baker had 2 years ago in his rookie year.
Correct.
45 more passes, because would you believe Justin Herbert leads the NFL in pass attempts? He's just throwing it. They are going Justin Herbert crazy, and I don't blame them, because he is showing that he is the real deal.
Yeah,
okay?
Eckler was out, so they really didn't have a running game, so
fair
it was
enough.
basically him or bust.
Okay, but let's give more credit than Baker got for 27 touchdowns to only 14, or it's pretty high interceptions, but 27 to 14 his rookie year. That was sensational. I don't think Baker got enough credit for 27 in 13 games with 45 fewer attempts than Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert's now the flavor of the year in the NFL, and Baker was the it kid, but it was more about Baker on and off the field, what he said, I'm feeling dangerous, that sort of thing. But 27 touchdowns and 13 starts was for a rookie quarterback.
But let me ask you a question. In any of those 13 starts, did you think Baker Mayfield looked as good as this kid looks right now? Skip 7 300-yard games.
Okay, remember, my view is colored. I loved it's colored with crimson and cream because I'm a University of Oklahoma fan. So I wanted him. I thought he should have been the first overall pick. So I was ecstatic that he finally got a shot and seized his shot in his rookie year.
Yes.
Okay, so yes, I saw fire in him. I saw that competitive craziness that he plays with that I loved more than this kid is stoic. He is stone-faced.
Yes.
I don't see physical leadership as in body language leadership.
But I'm talking about just ability to throw the football.
No, he's 6'6".
And that was the thing, because you love Kyler. You said Kyler had the great. Kyler ain't throw the ball like this last year. This kid, Skip, this kid is throwing the ball like a 4 or 5 year vet. We don't see kids coming to the NFL, and what we've seen is more and more guys, because they go to these 7-on-7 passing camps, and they've been throwing and they go talk to Trent Dilfer and all these passing gurus, Skip, and they're better prepared coming into the NFL than what they were, say, 20 years, 30 years ago, obviously. Okay. But what I've seen this kid do, the way he's throwing under pressure, and you know New Orleans can come get you. But look at what he was doing against New Orleans. He was up 17 on New Orleans. Tampa can come get you. And he was dealing. He doesn't seem afraid of any moment, Skip. I just wish they could have closed out some of these games. They almost gave this game away last night, because I disagree with my former teammate. You got that kind of confidence in your defense? I mean, have you not seen the Raiders just going up and down the field? And you're going to try a 50-plus yard field goal with that janky kicker? So I was.
He's had his moments, but he comes and goes like all of them.
He has the most missed kicks in the NFL.
Michael Badgley.
Yeah, and I don't know
he's
if
made a bunch of them too.
I don't really know if I want to tie my fortunes to him in that situation.
Okay, so he did obviously give the Raiders a reprieve.
Yes.
Okay, now back to John Gruden. I will be the first to tell. Let me finish quickly on Justin Herbert. I should have closed this deal
go ahead.
because I will be the first to admit I was wrong about him.
I was too.
And I was wrong about why didn't the Chargers sign Cam Newton. I just thought it was made to order. I thought it was silver platter as they opened SoFi Stadium that they needed a gate attraction such as former MVP Cam Newton, and they made the right choice going forward. I give you that. That was correct.
Yes.
John Gruden. I know him off the field, so to speak. He's fun to be around. He's fun to talk ball with. And I believe he was born to be the head coach of the Oakland Raiders. And he came out last night in an Oakland Raider hat, and he said, "Oh, somebody played a joke on me." I don't think
anybody didn't. No, they didn't. Out there.
I think he chose to come out into it. And he is, to your point, the star of the show. He's the biggest star on that team still. And that's the way it's always going to be. So back to your credit, versus blame. Yeah, he deserves some blame for what's happened. But I'm here to tell you that last night was a soul crusher for John Gruden. I believe from the start with the now Las Vegas Raiders, he never bought fully into Derek Carr. I don't know exactly why or why not, but you could just see it, feel it, hear it from John. He wasn't all in on Derek Carr. There are times when he was grudgingly in love with him, but it was always grudging. Well, there was always a maybe, a but.
Really loved him after they beat him in Kansas City.
40-32.
And Derek Carr had a hand that day.
He did. And they've had some big wins. They won at New Orleans. Was it at New Orleans? Yeah. Well, they beat in
Las Vegas.
34-24. Early in the year, they won. This is when the Browns were struggling, but won at Cleveland 16-6. So they've had, those are three pretty big wins with one signature at Kansas City. They got all the way at one point to 6-3. So then all of a sudden they've hit the skids and they've lost 4 or 5. And as you point out, it easily could have been 5 of 5. I don't think it was as big a blunder on Greg Williams' part as it was one of the all-time great blitz pickups by the Raiders. They just played it just as beautifully as you could play it, and they matched. They put helmets on helmets, and Derek Carr threw it, and Ruggs caught it. And the point is that they were lucky. Lost 5 straight games. Here's why last night was a soul crusher. All of a sudden, Derek Carr pulls up lame with a groin pull, running out of bounds. And the door opened for a kid that Gruden has always loved since before that kid's draft, and that's Marcus Mariota.
Correct.
Who obviously flamed out and failed eventually at Tennessee. All of a sudden, Marcus Mariota comes in cold and played the best football game I have ever seen him play, including his days at Oregon, just as Justin Herbert played at Oregon. I thought he was superb last night, and the QBR backed me up. He had a 98 QBR, scale of 0 to 100. It's up there close to perfection.
Right.
A lot of that was because of his legs. Right? He went 4 for 4 on 4th down. That'll work, right? Every time they needed a money play, he made the money play.
Correct.
And even in that last fateful drive at the end of regulation, he hits Waller for 15, then he hits Darren Waller again for 25, and they get it all the way down to 2nd and 8 at the 21. It's tied 24 all, right? And didn't it feel like it was going to be Marcus Mariota's night at that point? And what happened? Well, unfortunately, he turned back into Marcus Mariota, and he threw it just a little behind the receiver, if we could see this, just a little behind.
Hey, lucky Chris Harris Jr. didn't run this one all the way back.
Well, guess who got him? The guy who runs like 4-4, which is Mariota. It's just a little.
Skip,
Zay Jones.
Skip, that's that one I got to catch him. I threw the pick.
It was a little bit unlucky because Zay Jones got a hand on it and just tipped it right up in the air.
Because it looked like Zay Jones thinking it was zone, and Mariota.
He did.
Well, Zay Jones thought it was man because he kept going.
He kept going.
Right.
And it's just one of those unfortunate plays. And all of a sudden, Chris Jones is off to the races, and Mariota said, "Not on my watch," and tracked him down because he can fly now.
Yes.
I think he might even be closer to 4.3. He's a serious speed.
Yeah, but Skip, I thought the thing was, I thought he would have success because in your preparation all week, you never prepare for the backup. If you notice, John Gruden ran some plays, the zone read. He ain't running no zone read with Derek Carr.
Yep.
Because that's not what Derek Carr forte is. But I will give Mariota credit. He did throw the ball better than I've seen him throw it in a very long time.
Totally agree.
And so with that being said, it seems to me that you're hinting at that they might be willing to move forward.
Well, it would be a lot easier to move forward if you had closed the deal.
Right.
If he takes it home right there, and they win the football game, all of a sudden the Raiders are 8-6 instead of 7-7, and you still have more than a long shot playoff hope. You have a real playoff hope. And next week, I believe it's going to be Marcus Mariota. And if Gruden had his way, I believe he would have his quarterback of the future in Las Vegas.
Well, I believe it's Marcus Mariota because I don't know the groin injury, and you got to be careful with those. Those don't heal up overnight, kind of like hamstrings. Unfortunately, somehow the Giants think their medical staff can heal a hamstring in a week. But groin and hamstring, they are tough to deal with, Skip. But Mario, look, the only thing I remember, Skip, I remember the last time I saw Marcus Mariota start, I happened to be in Denver that weekend. Now, I was watching that game, but I was also keeping my eye on another game that happened to be going on in New York. So, you know, my loyalties were split.
Did he stink it up that day? I don't recall.
He stunk it up. Tannehill came. Skip, he might have had 15 yards passing. Tannehill came into the ball game. They were shut out. They didn't even score. Tannehill came in that day, got him to the playoffs, and here we are today. He's still starting currently. So I just want you to be careful, Skip. Looking at Mariota when nobody had a game plan for him coming into the game, as opposed to next week and moving forward, building a game plan to stop him.
I just know how hard it is to play quarterback for John Gruden, who's just like Jim Harbaugh. He is so incredibly sarcastically demanding a quarterback that he can just tear your psyche apart and shred.
Especially a young quarterback.
That's what I'm saying. But somehow he's got an affection for Mariota because he liked him before the draft. So I think he would prop him up better. And I think he'd have more success going forward with Mariota, legs and arm. So what happened? Beginning of overtime, they win the toss. And I'm thinking, it's their night. And here goes Mariota. He goes 70 yards in 14 plays. That's pretty good, 70 yards in 14 plays.
They just had a 19-play drive, one of the longest drives in 13 years for them.
They get it down to 1st and goal at the 4-yard line. And Gruden's thinking, I'm going to just run this right down their throats. I got 3 good cracks at this, and I got a running back who will run through it's the first time and he gets a yard. Okay, let's try it again. And he slips and falls, and it's -2. Now what are you going to do? So he puts Ingold, the fullback, in the game. It sort of offsets him from the shotgun and tries a little tricky play where Ingold just bolts into the flat because he can catch
like he's going to block in there.
And hopes that he can beat the linebacker, or if it's the D end outside, and that Rochelle, the defensive end for the Chargers, he just plays it beautifully and jumps all over the route and extends and gets a hand on the ball.
And even if Ingold, Skip, I'm not so sure he gets in, even if the guy doesn't knock it down, because 59 is right there, and it seems like the fullback is sliding.
It looked covered.
Yes.
It looked like it was doomed from the start. I would agree. And then John did something that surprised me. So now it's 4th and goal from the 5-yard line. I know 5 yards, that ain't close. It's hard to get 5. I would have gone for it because Mariota was a hot hand. We had a little Mariota magic going. I go for it because I don't trust my defense against Justin Herbert going the other direction.
And it would have been rightfully deserved at that point in time.
And if you miss on 4th and goal from the 5, at least you stick them at the 5, and instead he took it was just 22-yard chip shot field goal, and you know the rest of the story. Ball game the other way pretty quickly. He got a big pass interference call. Again, same
27. He had 4 in the games. Come on now, you can't have you cannot have that many pass interference. You might need to change position. You might need to move to safety.
On Mullen, they're just picking on him all night. But they're decimated in their back end. They just don't have anybody that they started the year with. Okay, so in the end, John Gruden takes another L to fall to 7-7. So what has he done so far as the head coach, making $10 million a year? 4-12, 7-9. Now he's 7-7. Can they win one of the last couple? They got Miami at home. I don't know, toss up, and then they go to Denver. Probably a toss up. But could they get one more victory? Could they get to 8-8? You know, sure. I think they could get to 8-8.
Miami,
that would show some progress.
Miami's not going to be no easy, but
No.
for $10 million, Skip, you need playoffs.
Well,
That's what I mean. They gave the man 10 years, $100 million. And I'm not talking about no progress. No, progress happened. I need you to keep building. I need it by the third year, Skip. I got to be in the playoffs. It's kind of like a player you draft in the first round, especially a quarterback, and you draft him high. You can't say, well, year 4, we getting close. At some point, by the third year, they say a first-round pick should be a Pro Bowl or an All-Pro player by the end of his third year if he's what you believed he was when you drafted him that high. Mm-hmm. Well, if you give a guy $10 million, he's clearly the highest other than Coach Belichick. Now, we don't know Coach Belichick. Those terms have never been released, but we know Coach Belichick is the highest-paid coach because he also, well, John Gruden also cooks the grocery, also shops and does all that other stuff.
Yep.
Valet parks the cars and everything.
Yep.
But with that being said, it's been a huge disappointment for the Las Vegas Raiders, for the Oakland Raiders, and you know this, Skip, I've been covering the game. Equipment managers does not play jokes on head coaches because that'll get your butt fired. You don't play, they might play jokes on players. They do it all the time. Yes, they do things like that, but not the head coach. That guy's not to be monked with. So for him to say somebody playing a joke, nah, John, you did that. And just own it, just like you had the bus driver drive around Arrowhead.
He did.
It wasn't no smart alecky. You had him do that. Just own it.
I agree with that. But do you have a big problem with him coming out in an Oakland Raiders hat?
No, but I think the NFL does.
Maybe. But you know what? In the hearts of fans around this country,
they always be Oakland Raiders.
They're just Oakland Raiders.
Yeah.
So I kind of like the Raiders, but it didn't offend me. He came out, he could wear it the whole game.
Even when they came to L.A., Skip, they're still the Oakland Raiders. They're always good. There will always going to be, no matter where you go, it's always going to be the Oakland Raiders and the true fans, the Raiders, moving forward. Come on, Skip.
I'll take Baker Mayfield.
No.
Winner.
I'm going to let you have old Shaggy Baker. I'm about to go with old Justin.
Well, old Justin's 5-9 this year. I know he's a rookie, but he's 5-9.
What was Baker his rookie year?
He started winning games.
No, I want to know what his record was.
He beat the Ravens. Remember, he beat the Ravens in Cleveland?
Yes. Yeah. So you're going to take the man with, hold on. If I'm not mistaken, didn't they get Myles Garrett? Was Myles Garrett before or after Baker? He was before Baker. He was before Baker.
Yeah.
But then they ended up getting a high draft pick, Denzel Ward, right? Denzel Ward pretty high. So yeah. So
I'll take Baker.
No,
take him right now. No. They're on a roll. They're 9-3. They're about to be 10-3.
Did he close the deal like you tell me? Did he close the deal Monday night? You like guys that close the deal. You just told me you wanted him to close the deal.
It was as miraculous a finish as I've ever seen in a pro football game. Lamar coming, quote unquote, back from the dead to win the game. Would you least expect it on 4th and 5? Okay? Did Baker do enough to close the deal? Yes, he did.
No, he didn't do enough.
Yes.
You got to close it.
I like Baker. I'll take him.
I like Baker, too.
Intangible.
But Skip, that kid there, that kid might have more 300-yard games in his rookie season than Baker had for a career.
Okay, he's been doing it in the shadows. Nobody expected anything from him, and now you're hyping him, and now the expectations will rise with your hype. Let's see how he handles the expectations.
Skip, I went to this nice restaurant. The food good. I'm telling you about it. That's all I'm doing. It's not like I'm lying. I ain't lied about the kid. I ain't gassing him up and he not legit.
Bandwagon. It is the Justin Herbert bandwagon.
I'll jump on that bandwagon. Bottom line, they both looked like the real deal last night, both Justin and Marcus.
No mercy.
What's up, Undisputed listeners? It's your boy, Sharpe. I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Club Shay, where we always do something before something. Each week, I sit down with a guest for a drink and conversation, and as host and proprietor of Club Shay, I've welcomed in esteemed guests such as Snoop Dogg, Floyd Money Mayweather, LeVar Ball, Isaiah Thomas, just to mention a few. Whether I'm talking to an athlete, a musician, an actor, or a lifelong friend, Club Shay is a place where people share inspiring and motivational stories about their journeys to prominence. The new episode drops every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Club Shay now and make sure you never miss a new episode. Now back to Undisputed.
No mercy.
James Harden dropped 20 points in his second preseason game last night. There are also more reports that the Rockets are expanding the number of teams they are willing to trade. He'll be willing to include Ben Simmons, but GM Daryl Morey has publicly denied that they'd move their young star. So, Shannon, do you think Harden will be traded by opening night on Tuesday.
I do not, Skip, and I commend Houston Rockets for not caving after 8 years of continuously caving to James Harden's demands, be it personnel, be it when we travel, when we practice, how we do certain things. After all those years of caving, Skip, it's hard to say no. Because it's that one time that you say no that people get up most upset with you. You know what I'm saying, Skip? You give and give. Hey, man, let me borrow. Okay, you got it. Hey, bro, let me get that right there. You got it. Let me get this right here. Nah, man, I ain't got, man. See, you done changed, bro. Bro, I done gave you and gave you and gave you. And the one time I tell you no, you got a problem with me. The one time they tell James Harden no, he has a problem with him. But for me, if Brooklyn is willing to give me Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, Jared Allen, and 2 future #1 picks, maybe a third, James Harden going to Brooklyn. But I'm going to get the best. This, Skip, it's hard to get value for a guy like James Harden. He's a former MVP. He's 3 straight years in which he's led the league in scoring. He's led the league in assists. He's led the league in 3-pointers made. So that is a hard combination to find. But if he's unhappy and I can get as close to compensation as I believe I can, James Harden butt's going to be up out of there because it's never going to be the same. James Harden is never going to get the benefits again that he once had. And it's tough, Skip. When you used to go in, when you go to work, Skip, you're just like, you get your old boss. Well, hey, Skip, come in whenever you want to. Dress how you want to. And then you get a new boss. And he said, I want you here at 8 o'clock. And I want you to dress a certain way. You're like, hold on, man, that's my old boss, but he ain't your new boss. So right now, James Harden got a new boss. And the new boss says, no, we're going to practice. We're not staying over. No, we're not doing this. No, you're not going to have control over who comes and who goes.
Yep.
Because we did that, and you see where it got us?
Yep.
Cupboard's bare, and now you want out, and we don't have an adequate replacement for you. So, Skip, I don't see him being traded. I mean, the season starts Tuesday. Unless something is brewing behind the scenes that we don't know about, but it tells me they're expanding, so he might not go where he wants to go, but I'm reading that there are contenders in both conferences that's willing to let go some high-value assets. But it better be very high. And there better be some future compensation in there also. Because I know what Milwaukee gave up to get Holiday. I know what the Clippers gave up to get Paul George. And anything less than that would be uncivilized. And I was not even thinking about taking your calls if you called me with some bull jive.
Okay. So, I disagree with your conclusion because if these reports are all true, and I believe they all are, I now suspect they will get this done before opening night. It sounds like to me, if Houston has expanded its horizon into the trade market, that it's their choice to seek partners. Right. They're seeking trade partners, and it may take 2 partners. It may take 3 partners to get this done. Right. But because they are now looking, that indicates to me that they have finally made the call, the final decision, enough. More trouble than he's worth. And he will continue to be even more trouble than he's worth if we try to keep him here unhappy through this year, as we saw the Pelicans try to keep Anthony Davis for 1 more year.
I'm going to start taking some of that paper. So as long as you show up on time, as long as you're professional, everything's going to be copacetic.
And I know if you're just pouty and you're not really into it, then it doesn't matter how great you were. You just have to cut bait. You just have to close your eyes and plunge and go forward. And I do agree with your premise. If you give me LeVert and it's not James, it's not equal for equal, but it is equal for equal when he's a big problem for you internally.
And plus, Skip, you're going to pair him with John Wall and possibly Boogie Cousins. I like the kid last night.
Christian Wood.
Yeah.
So Christian Wood. He went 27 and 10. And did you see what Eric Gordon said after the game about Christian Wood? He compared him to Baby Goat. He compared him to Anthony Davis. And Eric Gordon would know about Anthony Davis because he played with him for 4 years in New Orleans. 4 years, not 2 years or 3, 4 years. So he's seeing a younger Anthony Davis. Christian Wood is 25 years of age. What's the scary part is this is his 6th team, and he's only 25. Right. Well, why did they keep giving up on a baby goat, right?
You're right.
Okay. Well, last year in Detroit, he had his career year, 13 and 6, but he made 39% of his 3-point shots. Okay, that'll work. So he can, he's 6'10", and he can step out there and make that shot. He made 2 more threes last night as he went for 27 and 10 rebounds.
Skip, did you see him? He got the rebound, and James Harden says, pass it to me, pass it to me. He said, no, I got this. He goes all the way down and finishes it himself.
He did. So they gave him 3 years, $41 million as a free agent. Christian Wood, pretty good. It averages about 14 a year. That's pretty good money.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're saying he's a pretty valuable piece. So you add him. You got John Wall, you got Cousins. They didn't play last night. So I'm not sure how DeMarcus and Christian Wood would play together. I'm not sure how that would work out. If you put Jared Allen in the mix now, I'm really not sure. But it's 3 nice options, you know, like it's
3
pretty
big,
good. Okay, so Wall didn't play last night because of left Achilles maintenance. DeMarcus didn't play last night because of right knee maintenance. Okay, can I trust that they're going to be healthy for however many games they're going to play this year? No, I can't.
But I think the thing is you got to, like you said, Skip, they got to maintenance. They got to maintain to make sure they don't stress, because that's 72 games condensed. That's a lot of games in a very short amount of time.
But are they former All-Stars? You better believe they are. They're 30 years of age, so they're not too old. They should be right in the middle of their primes. If you get them at their best and their healthiest, you know what? This could be pretty good. If James stayed with this group right now, to me, they're the 4th best team in the West. Just this group right now, because I remind you, there's still an Eric Gordon, and there's still a Daniel House, and there's still a P.J. Tucker, and there's still a McLemore. So it's a pretty good basketball team.
Now, I'm not saying that Christian Wood is going to give me 27 and 10, but can I count on him on a nightly basis for, say, Skip, 17, 18, and 6 or 7?
13 and 6 for Detroit. Okay, but you could get him in that range, sure.
Because you're going to have to come, because guys are going to have to come. James Harden is still James Harden. You're going to have to come double him and get the ball out of his hand at some point.
And remember, this is not small ball anymore. This is Steven Silas. This is a new direction. No more D'Antoni. So they're going to play conventional basketball with bigs and pick and rolls and lob passes into the
ball moving, no standing around, and you dribble for 20 seconds, and then, oh, I ain't got nothing here. You bail me out, and the shot clock goes off.
So there was another report in The Athletic that all of a sudden Daryl Morey could make Ben Simmons part of a trade, that he would make him expendable. So would you do that? Would you do Ben Simmons straight up for James Harden?
Nope.
I love Ben Simmons. That's just me. So I wouldn't do it if I were Philadelphia. But Daryl Morey pledged allegiance to James, said, you changed my life, in an ad that he left as he left town in Houston.
But Skip, Daryl Morey also helped create the problem, the monster that James Harden is, with what he allowed James Harden to get and what he allowed James Harden to want and act and gave into his demands. So do you really want to, you saw what that did to Houston. Do you really want to bring that there? And guess who the next guy going to want out? Embiid. And then what do you got? So you're going to be Houston all over again. And all you're going to do is be Houston in the East. Because sooner or later, that's going to rub thin with Joel Embiid. It's like, hold on, bro, I've been here the longest. And you come in here and we're not watching film because you said so. We're not practicing. We're not having shooters around because you said so. No.
I prefer Ben Simmons in Philly over James in Philly. Ben Simmons is LeBron-esque to me. You don't love him. I do. I have high regard for him because he's still coming into his own. He doesn't have a shot. I got that. I think Doc will help with that. But can he, at 6'10", pass? Can he handle?
Play defense?
Can he play defense at the highest level?
I just think the point guard has got to be able to shoot the ball. You got to be able to shoot the ball from 10, 15 feet. That's why
they got Steph's brother. They got Seth, and he can shoot the lights out. That will help them. That will take some pressure off those two bigs and let them do what they do. I still think they're going to be really good, and I would not do hard about it. If it got offered, I'd say, okay, we'll try Ben Simmons.
But I just want my point guard, Skip. I don't care. You could have given Tebow, Tyreek Hill, and Julio Jones. His inability to throw the football was going to render them useless. Ben Simmons, they're never going to reach their maximum potential until he can make shots outside of layups and dunks. That's as simple as that, Skip.
They came within the luckiest shot I've ever seen in a playoff game of getting to the NBA Finals with Simmons and Embiid. Right?
Yeah.
So I take that to my bank.
But that was an isolated one time. But look at all the other times, Skip. You got to be, I mean, you're the point guard, Skip. I'm not saying, Skip, I'm not saying he needs to be Steph Curry. can we get a happy medium? Can we get somewhere in between?
There are different ways to pull this off. You can pull that off. I remain a fan, and watch what Doc does with those guys. I would not love Doc trying to deal with James Harden.
Well, maybe if I can get Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, and Jared Allen in Philly, and do a package like that or something. But Skip, I'm not just taking. I'm just look. I understand James is unhappy, and in the NBA, superstars, they command a lot of respect, and they normally get what they want when it comes to their demands. I'm just not giving James Harden away from peanuts because he's unhappy. I'm not. Because, Skip, you think about where they were before they got James Harden.
Okay, but doesn't it sound like they're committed to taking whatever the best deal is on the table on Monday night, maybe? I don't know when their opener is, maybe Tuesday?
Nah, I'm going to keep it. I keep them to the trade deadline.
Well, you could do it that way, but this feels like a trade deadline is opening night.
And then, I'm going to let everybody see that, hey, he still got it. Still let him average 20, 29, 30 points a game.
By the way, he played hard last night.
Yes.
I know it's preseason, but he was 29-7. He almost had a triple-double in a preseason game. So it's not for lack of effort. He's not quitting or pouting on the floor.
I just think sometimes, Skip, people get so carried away and think it's all about the court. But a lot of the games and championships are won in the locker room, in the meeting room, on the plane, on the buses. That's where championships are won. Hell, Skip, everybody got great players and can play. But, what is the cohesiveness? What is the tie that binds? What do y'all do together?
Agreed. That's how LeBron won a bubble championship.
There you go.
No, seriously.
Skip,
Thank you for bringing that up. We got to remind everybody, bubble championship.
Ain't no bubble. There it is. Dame Lillard said it was hard. Say the mindset that it took. I'm just going by what the guy said that was dying to Skip. I wasn't there.
I like championships that get won with 82-game schedules that get played straight through, where you don't get 5 months off before the real game starts.
Tim Duncan got a championship.
An asterisk beside that.
No, ain't nobody put no asterisk about it.
I put another asterisk beside the one he lost when Ray Allen hit the greatest clutch shot I've ever seen. Asterisk. Should have been over.
Should
have been over.
It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. And what about the ones that when people get hurt? Are they asterisk about the one that Golden State won when Kyrie and Kevin Love? Is there one besides that when Clay and KD got hurt for the Toronto Raptors? I don't think so.
2015, LeBron should have won that by himself.
No.
He's up 2-1 with Game 4 in his house. Close the deal, King.
Superstars win championships. And the more you have...
That's the bottom line to James Harden. You'd say superstars win championships, so he'll get you to the precipice, and then you get to a Game 7, and what happens?
He one star, though. He always going to lose out to the stars. One star versus superstars.
Yeah, but even that superstar he'll fall out of the sky when it's Game 7.
Yeah,
We've
but
seen that again and
he
again.
undermined his own work because Russell, Skip,
he wanted out.
Everybody say how he and Russell was so close.
Agreed.
And Russell wanted out. That's my dog. That's my boy. And I can't take it because this style will not win a championship.
Okay, that's why I think he will be gone before opening night.
Well, I don't think he will be gone for opening night.
Well, I can't wait to see how this whole situation unfolds. But let's move on to another interesting relationship, because some have questioned how Tom Brady would gel with new head coach Bruce Arians in Tampa. Now, according to Brady, things couldn't be better. The 43-year-old quarterback told reporters, quote, "I feel like we have a great relationship. From the moment I got here, we've just had great dialogue, and I certainly appreciate all the insight he gives me and the way he coaches and leads." So, Shannon, do you believe him?
No. It's easy to say now, Skip, and I said this. On the bye week, I believe Tom Brady and Bruce Arians had a conversation. And I believe Tom told Bruce, I don't see the benefits of you being so openly and blatantly critical of my play and my decision-making during the course of a game. It's almost like every game we lose, well, in practice, Skip, he made those throws. In practice, he made those reads. And the Tom Brady that I know, he never missed those. Tom is like, Bruce, that doesn't serve us any good. All I'm here to do is to try to help us win, and I need you to let me know what do I need to do better in order to help us win. Let's keep whatever differences we may have, let's keep those behind closed doors, and we can make this thing work. But you coming out after every play or every missed throw or every interception or every sack that I take or every overthrow, and to critique that play is not beneficial, not only for me, but for this team. Because now you plant seeds of doubt in the team's head because you are the head coach. And they're like, well, damn, the head coach say that he ain't Tom Brady. He ain't looking like that. So what am I to think? So, no, I do not believe they've always been on the same court. Because how many times, Bruce, let Tom run some play action, run some motion, run some this, do some of that. And it wasn't until the game before the bye week that they did some motion, that they did a lot of what Tom Brady wanted to do. So I do not believe they've had the greatest relationship. I do not believe they've been on the same page. That is my belief. Looking at it from the outside, hearing what Bruce is saying, Skip, I call bull jive.
And I call double baloney. I am with you times 100. Something happened over the bye week. I don't know what it was. It's not like Brady to have a closed door with the head coach. His father taught him to do it the right way. You have to be coachable. Even if you're the biggest star on the team, you have to obey the head coach. It's ingrained in his psyche. And so he tries to be not the coach's pet, just coachable. Like whatever you say, coach. That's why it worked with Belichick for 20 years. Because he'd say, I don't love this, but okay. And he allowed Belichick to get away with scathing critiques, closed door film sessions to the team. That he allowed Belichick to send a message to the team, I'm in command here. I don't care how big a star. He can be called the GOAT or whatever you want to call him. Call him an elephant or a giraffe, or you can call him whatever you want to call him, but I'm in charge in the confines of this film room.
Brady accepted it because he believed it was the best interest of the team. Brady's looking at this. I don't know how this serves the team.
No, I agree. So I don't know if the GM sat them down together. I don't know if the GM went straight to Arians. I don't know if ownership went to Bruce Arians during the break and said, enough. We need the good cop now. We need support. We don't need scathing critiques of the greatest quarterback ever. I told you, in my career, I have never been more offended by a coach's post-game quotes than I was by his, especially after the 2 New Orleans losses. And they were debacles both. I give you that. They were nightmarish for Brady and for the whole team. But when I look back at the quotes after the first game, just to remind everybody, virtual OTAs, not one preseason game got played. He's throwing balls in the park, and they get shut down in the park because they're violating COVID ordinances, So that's all he had to work with his team. And all of a sudden, the NFL schedule makers throw them into the fire at New Orleans against your arch rival in the division, the defending champ, obviously, in your division, and say, good luck. You got to go play there. So he goes and plays there, and he had the pick six, was a horrible idea. The other throw, I defended him on. Arians ripped him on it. Then Arians came out the next day and said, I looked at the film, and it was actually Mike Evans' fault. But he also said right after that first game, you know, he looked like Tom Brady in practice, so it was kind of unusual to see that in a game because New Orleans didn't do anything we didn't get ready for. What is the message? Don't blame me. Don't look at me.
Tom effed up.
Hey, look, blame him. I don't know. He looked like Tom Brady. I thought we signed Tom Brady. That looked like some Tom, Dick, or Harry out there. I don't know who he was, right? Don't look at me. I'm Bruce Arians. I coached Peyton Manning. I coached Andrew Luck. I coached Ben Roethlisberger. I coached Carson Palmer, right? I coached all those guys, and I don't even know who this guy was. And then after the second New Orleans game, this is right after the game, he's ripping him for a throw to Chris Godwin. He said, oh, Chris read that route the right way. That was on the quarterback. Oh, really? This is the GOAT you're talking about. And then he said after the game, Mike, meaning Mike Evans, Mike was open a bunch in that ball game. We just didn't target him. Really? Okay. And then on a throw to Gronk that got picked off, he said, we should have gone to Antonio on that play, but instead we went to Gronk.
No, we.
Okay.
Tom went. It's normally.
It's just scathing. It's like with that. It's the way you would treat like your backup, you know, like a backup rookie quarterback who got thrown into the fire, and you just sort of say, well, what do you expect from a rookie?
Skip, you've asked a bunch of questions, and normally what happened if somebody gets a pick or somebody fumbles, you ask the coach what happened. He says, I know the play you're talking about, but I would need to look at the film to see what went wrong.
Fine, yeah.
Dude, he just come out, oh, that was his fault.
Yeah, without looking at the film. No.
It's his fault.
Yeah.
And so, Skip, this is why I believed that Tom Brady would have a conversation during the bye. He and Bruce Arians would sit down, because if I read also, Skip, that B.A. and Tom wanted to have a golf outing, and the NFL nipped that in the bud. So that hold on. Here's the guy, Tom Brady, has never had an outing with his former head coach about golf. Now all of a sudden, even though that gave him his critique behind closed doors, he always Heisman posed, kept Tom at arm's distance. And so, but now all of a sudden,
I know for a fact Tom wanted to play off-season golf with Belichick. They played together one time because they got paired at Pebble Beach.
So now all of a sudden, at the 21st season, Skip, Tom Brady on the bye week, he wants to go play golf with a head coach.
It sounded like a PR move to me. It's like we got to do damage control here.
Yes,
we've got to send a new message coming out of the bye. We're great
united.
friends.
Yes.
We're golfing buddies.
Yes.
Really.
Yes.
And so Tom's quote yesterday was, I feel we have a great relationship. From the moment I got here, we've had a great dialogue, and I certainly appreciate all the insight he gives me and the way he coaches and leads. That sounds like a PR quote, like that was scripted by his PR director, right?
Thank you. Normally, Skip, you mentioned that Tom Brady's dad he was like, son, you always be courteous and respectful to the head coach, and you never talk.
It's like honor thy father and thy mother. This is the same concept, you know, honor thy head coach.
But Skip, my grandparents and my parents would look at counseling. Like, counseling for what? Y'all get together and y'all talk it out. Things are different now.
I know.
Tom Sr., things are different now. Just accepting what the coach says, when I got a problem with it, I'm going to be respectful, but I'm going to go to him in a respectful manner and say, Coach, the things that you're saying publicly, it doesn't help me, it doesn't help the team, and I see no benefit in it.
No benefit.
So I would appreciate it if there's a critique that you want to have of me, let's just have that behind closed doors. And I know who B.A. is. I mean, I've watched him enough to know that he's very critical publicly of his players. He was like that with James. He's like that with all of his quarterbacks, with all his players. But I think in this situation right here, Tom was accepting of Coach Belichick because he believed it was best for the team. And actually what Coach Belichick was doing, he was coaching the team through Tom. That's what Bobby Mitchell used to say, the coach, Paul Brown used to get on him when he was really Jim fumble, but he yelling at Bobby Mitchell.
Okay.
Even though
maybe.
So he would have to yell at
I don't know if I'm giving Bruce that much credit to be that sort of calculating.
No. I'm saying that's what. No. I'm not saying he did. I'm saying that's what Coach Belichick was doing.
Oh yeah, Belichick did.
Okay,
I got it.
Yeah, Coach Belichick. No.
I don't think there's method to this.
No. That's just him.
This was Bruce's ego speaking.
Yes. I agree.
All right, so here we go. Out of a bye week, they won their first game by hook or crook because Dan Bailey kept missing field goals and extra points and left 10 points on the field. But they got to 8. So now it's like we need a good cop instead of the bad cop, because it's going to do us no good for him to continue to rip and slash me after games if we lose another game. And it's highly possible they will. They got 2 with Atlanta and 1 at Detroit. We'll see. But the point is, this game is the most dangerous game is this Sunday. This is, once again, I told you last week was sink or swim, and they barely swam.
They swam. They
to the shore, barely. Gagging, spitting up some water, right? Okay, so at Atlanta is scary to me because it's a division rival, and I don't think Julio's going to play, but I'm not sure about that. But still, they have enough firepower. Do you remember what they did to the Raiders? We just talked about the Raiders just a couple of weeks back. Under Raheem Morris, they're 4-4. They won 43-6 at Atlanta over the Raiders when the Raiders were flying fairly high.
And they beat Minnesota convincingly in Minnesota.
They beat them with 40-plus points, okay?
So they can score.
Okay. Are they capable against this Bucs collapsible defense of putting up 30 or 40? Sure they are. Okay, so this is the most dangerous one to me of all. And they better be on somewhat the same page and united, at least in public, to get through this game.
Yeah, but I do not believe they have this great relationship that Tom Brady is speaking of.
Yep, agreed.
No mercy.
Hey, Undisputed listeners, it's Charlotte Wilder here to tell you about my new podcast with Mark Titus called the People Sports Podcast. It comes out every Thursday, and Mark and I take one of the big stories of the week, and then we go off on tangents you never saw coming. This might mean that we start talking about the Dodgers winning the World Series and end up wondering if Knicks fans deserve happiness. Or begin with LeBron's greatness and end up drafting our ultimate beer league softball team made up of old athletes. Whatever it is, the only rule of the show is that it has to be fun and funny, because these days we could all use as many laughs as we can get. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts and come down weird sports rabbit holes with us. We can't wait to have you.
No mercy.
The NBA is investigating the Clippers' free agent signing of Kawhi Leonard. According to a recent filed lawsuit, the Clippers are being accused of agreeing to funnel money to people near Kawhi in order to convince him to sign with the team. While the lawsuit is pending, the league has decided it's serious enough to take a look themselves. So, Shannon, what do you make of this?
I'm not surprised. Skip, we've heard last year during the recruitment process. Now, Masai Ujiri would not get in and say, look, he's moved on. That's something I don't feel comfortable talking about. Now, it was reported that people close to Kawhi, Uncle Dennis, wanted things.
Dennis Robertson, yep.
That was illegal. It was approached to me, and the Athletic reported that Uncle Dennis wanted the Lakers to guarantee Kawhi part ownership, have a private jet available at all times, a house guarantee amount of off-court endorsement money. Jeannie Buss told him all of that was illegal. Now, Kawhi comes off as quiet. I don't want anything, I just want to hoop. But what we know, that's not true. Kawhi Leonard, behind the scene, quietly recruited Jimmy Butler, KD, and Paul George. It was also that the reason why Trez and Lou Williams had a problem with Kawhi is that he was controlling the practice schedule. He was controlling when he wanted to play in the ball games. They were being held up from travel because he lived in San Diego and he was being late for the team playing. So this notion that Kawhi, he just wants to do, he's the only superstar that I know that don't want anything. And that is a lie, because we see that it's been a lie, and it's been a lie that's been perpetuated because for some reason we like Kawhi. I don't dislike him, but I dislike the narrative that he's so different than all the other superstars. Now, he might not be as charismatic. He might not talk as much, but he understands.
He's not on social media at all.
At all. But he understands the perks that comes along with being the superstar. Toronto allowed him to have his fiancée or significant other and the child on the team playing. That's not conjecture, that's fact. So we're about to find out what's true and what's not true. Now, this gentleman says, hey, I know Uncle Dennis. I can deliver Kawhi to you, and here are some of the things you need to say in order to make this come to fruition. We're about to find that this thing about to get real interesting. It's going to get real interesting, Skip Bayless, and you know it, too.
I do. So, Johnny Wilkes, who filed this lawsuit out here in L.A. against Jerry West, the great Jerry West. The logo. Highly regarded and respected.
Very.
And should be. And the suit alleges that Jerry West promised Johnny Wilkes, who, by the way, was a basketball teammate of Uncle Dennis Robertson's when the two of them went to Dorsey High School out here in Los Angeles. So that's how they first knew each other. So it comes across in the lawsuit that Johnny Wilkes was actually the agent for the agent.
Yeah,
because
a liaison.
The agent was Uncle Dennis. He represented Kawhi through this whole recruitment process. And I will be the first to acknowledge, and I've said it here on the show, I heard lots of stories, lots of rumors, lots of accusations aimed at Uncle Dennis that he wanted to be a package deal with Kawhi. He also wanted to be taken care of as the agent for Kawhi with his perks. Illegal. Okay. So I have no idea what did or did not transpire in that regard as it pertains to the Clippers. But I will say that Kawhi responded to the lawsuit last night and just shot holes in it and scoffed at it and dismissed it out of hand by saying that Johnny Wilkes and what he alleges had nothing to do with swaying my mind to go somewhere. And he made the point that he grew up, Kawhi did, out here in L.A., obviously in the Riverside area. And out here, people try to find any way to get some money, so he probably won't be the last. I know a lot of people out here, so he is suggesting that it's another sort of hanger-on that had his hand out within the camp, and that maybe he overstepped his bounds to introduce himself. I think it was at a Clippers game to Jerry West.
Right.
And I don't know how far Jerry West went along with it. The lawsuit even alleges that Jim Gray...
It better not be no email.
Yeah. Well, that's the allegation here, is that Jim Gray was at a dinner in Beverly Hills as they were closing, or maybe it was just after they closed the deal. I don't know how Jim Gray is very close with Jerry West.
Right. Jim Gray close with a lot of people.
He is. Well, I know. All of a sudden, he pops up in the middle of this story. This is the allegation in the lawsuit that at the dinner, Jerry West said, "Hey, Jim, will you get Johnny Wilkes' email?" And you guys go back and forth about what he needs, what he wants. So, if that's true, then there is some email. Okay? Somewhere, somehow.
Yeah.
Okay? Unless it gets purged. It's probably already purged, but we'll see. So, again, it all reverts back. It's not so much about Johnny Wilkes' allegations. It reverts back to Uncle Dennis. Because that's the guts of the story, is what did he get or not get?
But Skip,
I thought they already investigated this.
I don't think, Skip, I just think the thing is there's too many, Skip, where there's some smoke, there had to be fire at some point in time. There are too much rumblings from teams that said, this is what he needed, and this is what he wanted, and this is what he...
Philadelphia was also on that list of, no, we're out.
Okay, so Jeannie Buss said this is illegal what you're asking. Masai Ujiri says, I don't really care to talk about it.
Josh Harris, the Philly owner also.
Yes. So, Skip, that's three. And so now we got a guy that has nothing to do with any of those, but then now this brings the Clippers into the mix. One is a one-off. Say, you know what? Okay, fine. Somebody get... But, Skip, you can't have 4, 5, 6, or 7, and then all of a sudden say, just sweep this under the rug because, oh, man, Kawhi's quiet. But, Skip, what we know and what we've heard and what we've seen, Kawhi is like a lot of other superstars. He just moves a lot quieter. That doesn't mean he's not any more of a superstar any less, but he wants things that superstar gets. And, you know, hey, if I'm an agent and if you go, Skip, Bomber's worth $70 billion. What's $100 million? Let's just say for the sake of argument, Skip.
I completely agree with this.
What's $100 million to get Kawhi? And not to be second fiddle for the rest for perpetuity.
Agreed.
Because if you don't get Kawhi, y'all not on TV like y'all. You can get Paul George. You can get 5 Paul George. You can get Paul George, Boy George, and any other George.
Okay. So what shocked me when I first read about this was, wait a second, we have a member of the inner circle filing suit against the chief advisor of the team Kawhi plays for.
Yes.
So all of a sudden, and I think he just became a former member of the inner circle, right? He's got an axe to grind with the team that Kawhi plays for. So this is going to be hard on Kawhi. This is a huge distraction.
Man, just get that man a shit out of the game. Hey, Steve, this thing is about to come. It's about to come. It's called a nuisance. Just get him just to go away. You find somebody say, well, here, as a matter of fact, here's $4 million.
Yeah, but if you settle it, you incriminate yourself, right?
No,
that's illegal.
No, I'm not admitting to anything. Big tobacco companies do that all the time. Police departments, they settle lawsuits and don't admit guilt all the time. But you could have found something, Skip.
I know, but it's not like he was damaged. He just didn't get paid what he alleges that he was promised.
And to keep this, Skip, because now what do you have happen? You know there are going to be certain segments that believe this actually happened. That's how it works.
Well, the bottom line is they could be fined and they could lose draft picks.
What draft pick? They ain't got none until 2027.
Well, they could lose that one.
So you find Steve Ballmer $10 million. The dude worth $71 billion. He got that in his back pocket.
I just hope Kawhi can get his head clear in time for Tuesday night.
You do realize, Skip, that Steve Ballmer could buy every NBA team and still have like 10, 12 billion left over.
And by the way, he just got voted from the insiders, the best, they call them governors now, right? The best governor. They're no longer owners. That got changed. They're called governors. So he's voted the best.
For what? Because he got Microsoft technology all through the building. He got the most money to do all that. And he be...
Well, it's because of your point. Whatever is needed, he says...
But guess what? What he need is a LeBron James. He ain't got that. What he need is a KD. He ain't got that. That's what he need.
He's got a Kawhi Leonard with the best sneakers on the market. That's all.
You ought to stop. You need to stop.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a messy situation all around, so interesting to see
like
how
this.
it will unfold.
No mercy.
Washington is on a 4-game winning streak and is favored to win the NFC East according to Fox Bet Sportsbook. New York is a game behind, and both host 9-4 teams on Sunday. Meanwhile, Philadelphia will travel to Arizona while Dallas hosts San Francisco. And all 4 teams are still in contention to win the division with the right breaks, but the Cowboys are on thin ice and can be eliminated this weekend. So, Shannon, where is the NFC East on Monday?
Washington is 2 games ahead of the Cowboys. Really, it's 3 games because they swept them. So they own the tiebreaker, so that's the equivalent of another game, Skip. The Giants is a game back, but the Giants swept Washington. So with that being said, I believe the Browns will beat the Giants. The Eagles are still in the mix because of that tie. I believe Arizona will beat them. The Cowboys is what Skip Bayless wants to know. After you lose this weekend, it'll be over.
That would be way over.
It'll be, and officially, you'll be done.
Good.
I would feel like now they don't seem as optimistic about Alex Smith playing as they did Sunday when he left the game, said it was a calf injury, couldn't get it loose, but we feel very good. Now it seems to me that Haskins has been taking the lion's share of the first team reps, and they don't seem as confident about Alex Smith playing this week as they were maybe at the end of the game or maybe at the start of this week.
Which, by the way, is why Seattle is a 6-point favorite at Washington.
Yes.
Go ahead.
If Alex, I'm gonna stick with my original pick, Skip, because originally I was gonna take Washington because of their defense. It's special. That front seven is as good as we have in the NFL. And I believe they'll put immense pressure on Russell Wilson. And I'm going to take the Washington to win.
You are?
I am. I know it's going against my better judgment. But I think since Haskins has been on the bench, he sees it's okay to get rid of the football. You don't have to try to make every play. Holding on to the football, taking sacks, making costly turnovers. Because the thing that really helped them get to this point is that because their defense is playing so well, they're not turning the ball over and giving the opposing team's offense short fields. So I'm going to take Washington against my better judgment because it's Haskins, and I haven't seen a whole lot of good that I like. But he did beat Philly opening day. That says something. But I'm going to take Washington to win a close ball game and end Dallas' season on Sunday.
That is your cowboy-hating heart over your head. Am I right?
I'm saying the cow. Hold on. You told me the sports books got 49ers favored to win. I saw the.
I didn't tell you. They told you.
Yeah,
they do.
49ers got a 71% chance.
And you told me you don't get that spread. You thought that Dallas should be favored at home.
Do.
Am I right?
I do.
Thank you very much.
I do.
So I'm going to be good to you today since we're getting nearer and nearer to the Christmas holiday. I'm going to say I'll bet you only 1 case of Diet Dew, and I'll take Seattle.
No.
No?
No.
So
Skip, I don't feel comfortable. If Alex Smith was playing, I was like, Skip, you got a deal. But I don't feel comfortable. Now, Seattle's defense has played a little better. But, I mean, you played the Jets. I mean, so was it the defense playing better or were they playing the Jets?
Okay, my turn. I'm going to give you my ultimate 2020 Dallas Cowboy nightmare into this season. This is what I believe in my deepest, darkest heart is going to happen to my Cowboys. I think they're going to win out. I think they're going to win their final 4 games. I think they will beat San Francisco at Jerry World this Sunday in the early window because they got unflexed out of the night window where they belonged. But that's what's happened to them because they're a sorry football team right now.
The Browns-Giants on Sunday night, right?
Yeah, that's what happened. So I believe that then my Dallas Cowboys will beat Philadelphia at Jerry World. And
With Jalen Hurts. Hurts?
I believe they'll beat him because I think Andy Dalton right now is better than Jalen Hurts because I think Andy Dalton is still the best quarterback in the division. And he's looking a little better, and the offensive line is starting to click a little bit with 2 undrafted tackles, a rookie and a second-year player, on the corners for me trying to protect Andy Dalton.
Well, we're going to find out when they play Philly how well they protect.
Okay, I agree with that, but let's see what we see. But I just got this. This is my worst-case scenario, that they will beat Philly, and then they will go up and beat Jason Garrett. I'm knocking on wood that he's going to be recovered by then. He got COVID the other day, so now Freddie K is going to call plays against Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, he knows
Sunday.
He knows what
he knows
what Freddie K can do. I mean, what Baker can do.
I don't think it matters.
He knows all the bodies are buried.
He does, but it won't matter. Baker also knows where his bodies are buried, right? Okay, so now I believe that Cowboys finish out with a victory over the Giants, and that gets them to 7-9, and that, I believe, will tie them with Washington for the division lead. And you obviously know, and I obviously know, that the tiebreaker is head-to-head, and Dallas didn't just lose the tiebreaker to Washington. Dallas got annihilated twice by Washington. Got humiliated, embarrassed, dismantled, disfigured. You can throw any dis in front that you want. It was all-time hard to watch. And I watched every snap of both games, and clearly Washington is better than Dallas. So 7-9, 7-9. Boom, there goes Washington, and they would get, obviously, a home playoff game.
Because all Washington has to do is win one more game. So they Seattle, Carolina.
Right. So here's what it's going to come down to for me. If the long shot for me would be that Dallas wins out and Washington loses out. But that would require one huge loss at home, and it's the middle of the remaining 3 games, to Carolina. Ron Rivera obviously let go by Carolina, and you would think all the motivation would be on Rivera and his new team side, right?
Yes.
And, man, the harder I look at Carolina, they're 4-9.
If they don't rush the quarterback.
They've lost 7 of the last 8. And I don't know if Christian McCaffrey is shut down or not. They keep saying, no, we'll see from week to week. But it feels like he's shut down.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to play this week. So what? So he's missed 11 of 12 games. And you're going to bring him back for 2 games?
They had one impressive win the whole year to me, and that was when Kyler went to Carolina and lost 31-21 to Teddy Bridgewater, who has not had a very good year. Okay, so what are the odds that Carolina would pull off the upset of the year in the NFL and go up to Washington and beat them in the week before the final week, right? That would be my only hope, that Washington would lose out and then we would win the NFC East. But the worst case scenario, the nightmare would be if we deadlock them at 7-9, but lose the tiebreaker, and then we lose all those draft spots because we had a chance to be 3-13 and be up in the, I don't know, top 3,
top
4.
5.
Yeah, right, top 5. And now we're going to plunge down to somewhere in the middle. I don't know, but maybe below that if you get to 7.
Well, yeah, you win 7 games. Yeah, you'd probably be in the teens.
Okay, which is horrible. Then you didn't get rewarded for being a bad team.
Right.
So then come back to my friend Darren Woodson, one of the great Cowboys. What a great player he was. I had the privilege of covering him, watching him.
Played against Woody?
Hey, nobody played harder. Nobody laid the wood harder than he did. Nobody played smarter. He was just a great safety for a great football team. And so I loved what he said yesterday. This is to CowboysSI.com. He said, he's talking about the Cowboy defense. The way they play, it makes the competitor in you cringe. It was my job to hit people, to punish quarterbacks, to have my teammates back. But these guys, I don't know. They're helping up runners, giving love taps on helmets. After the game, it's a brotherhood, so that's okay. But where's the animosity during the games? We just don't see any anger in this defense's veins. We see tackling like they're playing flag football. That's why all season they've been gashed by the run. Okay? So I love what he said, I saw signs of hope or life against a horrible Cincinnati team, but at least they held them to 7 points, 30-7. Well, at least that's a start.
That ain't no start, Skip.
Okay, but you keep telling me this defense is just bad, and I say no, it's just completely unmotivated.
What?
I mean, how can DeMarcus Lawrence be bad? He's a 2-time Pro Bowler. Aldon Smith has played like a Pro Bowler much of this year.
He's played but Skip, are you telling me that D-Law, you see every game that he gives you the effort that T.J. Watts gives?
No.
Or Aaron Donald?
No, I'm saying not. How about my 2 linebackers? Leighton Vander Esch is a Pro Bowler. Jalen Smith is a Pro Bowler. What's happened?
It's all about, Skip, at this level, it's all about consistency. Because anybody can have one good year, and we've seen guys have one good year. But to do it over and over when teams know what you're capable of doing, when they set their offense, okay, we got to count for this guy. Or we got to set our defense, we got to count for that guy. And then what? Skip, you can't give up 300. You can't give up 290, 240, 240, 220, 185. And people talk about, it's because they're not tackling and they love tackling. No. Skip, I've seen Reggie White help people up all the time. But you know you're coming. I seen Bruce do it.
He helps them up after he knocks them down.
Exactly. Right. But the thing is, Skip, at some point in time, we got to come to the conclusion. The Cowboys' defense isn't very good. They're not.
I just think they have an all-time bad defensive coordinator who has seen his better days in this league.
Maybe the scheme. Maybe they're trying to play a 3-4 defense, and they're more 43 4-man front defense. Okay, I'll give you that. But, Skip, at the end of the day, C-man, hit man. C-ball, get ball. It's that simple on defense. All that other stuff, Skip, I can give you all this. We're going to play cover 6 and cover 5 and cover 1 with lurk and rob this. We're going to trap the corner. I can give you all that, Skip. C-man, get man. C-ball, get ball.
Especially stopping the run. It's about pride. It's about heart. It's about guts. It's about will. It's about being motivated, and they're unmotivated too often.
Yes.
Okay? So, to me, it starts with the defensive coordinator, Mike Nolan, because even this week, I think Donovan Wilson has been a find at safety. He's been out for a couple of weeks. Watch, he'll bring some new pop to the secondary. And Trevon Diggs has been gone, obviously, and he's a keeper at corner to me. No?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I like him.
So, again, I see signs of life here, and yet the worst case for me is because they need help. They need more talent on defense.
What the hell,
They
Skip?
needed a high pick.
You just told me that since 2014, nobody has drafted more Pro Bowl players
except Kansas City
than the Cowboys, except Kansas City.
Yep.
Now, the Kansas City in the AFC Championship, they done been to the Super Bowl. They be #1 seed damn near every year. So what's going on with the Cowboys? And we blamed it on Red. We blamed it on Jason Garrett. You got him up out of there. And now you got Mike McCarthy. Okay, so what's the excuse now?
Mike McCarthy's best moment was taking a sledgehammer to a bunch of watermelons up in some hotel in Minnesota. That's it. That's all he's got.
Yes.
Seriously.
So now we got to give Aaron Rodgers really got to be the GOAT. Because ain't no telling how many Super Bowls he had Mike McCarthy not held him back. Because look what he's doing now.
Well, he didn't hold him back. He just didn't help him. He's just there.
Yeah.
He just seems like a lump.
I mean, you got Brett, think about it. You got 2 top 10 quarterbacks probably in the history of the game, and you got 1 Super Bowl appearance on your resume? I mean, how many coaches can say, I mean, you look at Coach Walsh, you look at Seifert. He got 2 Super Bowls on his resume with Joe and Steve. Coach Shula, he had Johnny U. He had Bob Greasy, and he had Marino. He got Super Bowl appearances with all of them on his resume. Mike McCarthy got 2 guys and got 1 Super Bowl appearance, 5 MVPs.
And off that Super Bowl, Jerry said, I got my man. Right?
You was all over there. We got a made man.
Well, he is made. You got to give him that.
Yeah.
Jason Garrett went to Super Bowls as a player, as a backup quarterback, but that's all. He's old 8-8 Jason, and watch, the Giants won't even finish 8-8.
Oh, you don't worry about it. He got something for you, though. He might not, but I know he got something for you.
No mercy.
Jarvis Landry was not pleased with Marcus Peters after it was pointed out that the Ravens defensive back spit in the direction of Landry during their Monday night game. Landry told reporters yesterday, quote, "He's a coward. I think he knew that maybe behind my back he'd do things like that, but to my face, he wouldn't." Marcus Peters claimed that nothing was intentional, and where he comes from, if you have an issue with someone, you deal with it face to face. We are joined now by Fox Sports NFL analyst Michael Vick. Michael, how do you feel about this?
Oh man, it was hard to watch, in terms of, Marcus Peters and Jarvis Landry, two guys that I have a lot of respect for, two guys that, ultimately has done a great job of representing the brand of the National Football League and tempers flare when you out in the field. And, you got to be able to dish it and take it on both sides for Peters and Landry. So I don't know what this whole situation derived from. But if Marcus Peters did this intentionally, and I hope he didn't, this is something that, might not bother him today or next week or a year from now. It'll be one that it'll be a situational moment where he'll always look back at and say, I should have handled that situation better. Ultimately, I had the utmost respect for Jarvis Landry, and I let my emotions get the best of me. And it happens in the game of football. But you got to keep those emotions in check and understand it's just a game. And we out there trying to have fun. We're being ultra competitive. And we're trying to get the best of one another. So that's going to happen. You got to be able to dish it and take it. But, I've had situations, when I flicked the crowd off in 2005, never was able to shake back from that emotionally because it was something that I did, my actions, and it was nobody else. Even though it was to an opposing fan, it wasn't to our crowd. It still happened, and people seen it and picked up on it, and it just wasn't good, for the brand of the National Football League, for myself, or for my image alone. And, taking all the personal aside, you still got to be accountable for your actions. And hopefully, Marcus Peters, if he in his heart feel like he intentionally did that, reach out to Jarvis Landry and apologize to the man. He deserves it.
Shannon, before you go, quickly, Michael, in your long career as a quarterback, going back high school, college, pro, did anybody ever spit at you or on you in a football game?
No, Skip, man. And like I said, I've had my share of confrontations with guys. I mean, me and Chris Jenkins used to go at it all the time. And it was nonstop. And look, I used to like to talk trash too when I was getting the best of an opposing defense. And I wanted to let them know that my hard work was paying off, just like, they wanted to do the same thing for me. But we never got to a point where a guy spit on a guy. We had an incident where Terrell Owens spit on D'Angelo Hall, and that was a big thing, and we was like, well, why would you do something like that? I almost rather, handle it a totally different way, man, and not even in the physical. It's about talking about it as men, but nobody has ever done that to me. I always looked at the game of football as I'm out here to have fun. This is not the street. We're not playing ball, in the space where, the rules don't apply. We got to play within the framework of the game and respect the game. And the guys I've always played with always felt that way. And that's why we all have great relationships off the field to this day.
Let me preface this by saying, Mike, I'm a little older than you. I'm a little further south, although you're from Virginia, which is considered the South. I'm from rural South. And I remember as a young boy growing up, my grandpa used to say, boy, he said, you don't spit on anything. He said, you spit on the ground. So in other words, if you spit on me or you spit in my direction, you're telling me I'm lower than the ground. You have forget the little respect, you have no respect. Now, obviously, Jarvis had his back turned, so he didn't know Marcus Peters had done this. Now, I'm going to have a conversation with Marcus Peters. Now, the first thing that needs to come out of his mouth needs to be, bruh, I didn't mean to do that. Anything else comes out of his mouth, I'm firing on him. It's that simple. For you to, first of all, because it started because Marcus had done a great job. He had D'd him up, and he pushed him out of bounds. The ball flew out of bounds, and they're walking back, and they started trash talking. And I think Marcus said something. He might have cursed him, and Jarvis was going back and forth. But if you look at this, it's hard for you to say he was not spitting in his direction. Now, you got the whole left side of the field. Why you got to spit in that direction of that man? And to talk about, well, where I'm from, bruh, I don't know where you from. I'm assuming you're from California because everybody think, because if they're from Compton or Inglewood or Long Beach or they're from New York, one of the boroughs, they can do where I'm from. Well, bro, I'm going to put where you from to the test. Because I'm going to tell you where I'm from and how we do things. You do that, you got to knuckle it up. It's as simple as that. I'm not going to let, you ain't got to respect me, Skip, but I won't let you disrespect me. We get to the point where, okay, you got the best of me. I said something you didn't like, and this is the route that you go to? Man, Marcus, bro, you out your mind. Skip, you know the situation that happened with us.
Do I?
1997, Mike, on a Monday night game. I didn't know anything about it. They asking me after the game, I'm like, what are y'all talking? Because I never stood up and watched the game. I'm sitting on the sideline thinking about what we got to do. 49ers beating our backs in, so I don't even want to look at it on the Jumbotron. Hell, I already know what's going on. I'm on the bench. We can't get anything going. And they say, did you know what happened in the game? I'm like, what happened? What are you talking about what happened? We got beat. That's what happened. No, did you see the incidents with J.J. Stokes and Bill Romanowski? I'm like, no. So I'm like.
Okay, so Bill played linebacker for you guys. J.J. Stokes was a receiver out of UCLA for the 49ers. And Bill?
So the next day.
And Bill spat upon him. He just spit right in his...
spit in his mouth, so he took his mouthpiece out and the spit is hanging down. So I see that the next day. That's a Tuesday, which is our day off. So we come to work on Wednesday. We got to have a team meeting. We got to talk about this. Even though JJ, that's not me. Bro, you on my team and you do that, do you know that's the ultimate sign of the disrespect?
And by the way, I think we have to identify for those of our younger fans who don't know, Bill's white and JJ is black.
Yes,
okay, here we go.
Yes, that's the N-word, magnified.
It is. Thank you.
And Mike, it wasn't me. It was just the fact that I can't believe you did that, Romo. Yeah, you my team, and I ride with you. But, bro, and even after we had the meeting, I still had a private conversation with Romo 20 minutes after.
And how did that go?
It went really well. I said, Romo, man, you don't even know, bro. I said, read Romo, we had a great, he worked hard, he studied. I think we made each other better. But that's unacceptable. Marcus Peters, that's unacceptable. That is unacceptable. And you need to call that man and apologize. Because if you don't, we got to run it back.
And by the way, bottom line to your story, your spitting incident, it launched your team to a Super Bowl championship because it actually brought you together.
It did.
It took John Elway standing up, which he didn't do very often.
He didn't.
And he said, we got to have his back.
He said, man, doing everything he possibly can. He's basically on his knees begging.
Yep.
He says, guys, I'll put myself on the line. I believe him. He apologized. He said, I believe him. He apologized, and we got to move on because the prize that we're trying to achieve is still in front of us. We left the meeting, and we were good. But, hey, Marcus, you need to call Jarvis, and you need to apologize.
So let me add my 2 cents from a distance, trying to analyze Marcus Peters and Bill Romanowski because they, to me, come out of the same mold.
Yes.
They're both very gifted. Bill was at what he did because everywhere he went, people won championships.
Right.
But Marcus, very gifted. But he feels like, because I always feel like he's a little insecure about, because it's a hard position, man. You're going to get scorched.
Yeah.
He's a cluer and a gambler and a jumper. He's going to jump routes and he's going to get scorched and he might scorch you, right?
Yes.
But he plays with a little bit of insecurity, so he thinks he has to win the psychological game as well as the physical game. So he has to play with you. He has to antagonize you and hope he can get you out of your head, which you often did also. But this gets down and dirty, right? And Romanowski would get down and dirty.
Yes.
And it didn't matter, black guy, white guy, he's just going to go. And if it requires spitting on somebody, he's just going to do it to get a mental edge on him. But to me, to frame this whole thing, within the sports confine, the ultimate act of human disrespect is that. And I'm with you. I don't advocate fighting, but if you're going to spit on me, then we're going to go.
Ain't no fight. Hey, as soon as you puck it, if I see you, as soon as you puck your lips up,
Oh, yeah, no doubt. It's definitely going to be on. But for Marcus Peters, what he got to understand, in the history of the NFL and dating back to as far as I can remember, there's only been a couple spitting incidents, maybe 3. I remember Romo, D Hall and Terrell Owens, and now this don't happen. So when it happens, it's going to be magnified times 10, and you're at the forefront, bro. You got to. It's a call to action for you right now to step up and be a man, and he need to recognize that first and foremost.
Because the reason why you don't see things like this happen is because everybody knows this is so far out of bounds. This is so unacceptable that you could probably have to fight somebody. You do that. That's understood. Even if you walking on the street and somebody spit on you, you got to run it. You gonna get fired on.
It's a game changer.
Yes, and you do. And the thing is, in that direction of all the field, think about how big a football field is. It's just at that moment, after you just got done saying something to him, you're gonna turn around and spit in that man's direction. Man, Lord have.
The worst part about it is that they won the game. Yeah. It's the fact that they won the game and you still disrespected this man. If you did it, and when I was watching it, I was kind of. All right, did he mean to do it? And,
I didn't see him doing the game.
I did not either. They didn't capture.
He had the whole left side of the field where he could have spit. You could have spit. He could have spat anywhere. So it's no excuse for that. It's just something. That is the. Ooh, Lord forgive me, but he's wrong for this. He knows he's wrong. He did it, and then he tried it, and he casually just walked by like, bro, where I'm from, we got a problem with you. Well, if you got a problem with it, you should have. Why'd you spit? And so at that and I'm not saying, look, sometimes it happens, but at that very moment, after you just got into a heated conversation, he's walking away. At that moment, you don't turn your head left. You don't keep walking and do it. You spit in that man's direction. And we're supposed to say, oh, that was just an isolated incident. Marcus, you're wrong. You need to call the man and apologize. That's what you need to do. And Jarvis, hopefully you accept it. But if y'all play again, y'all on the same team next year, and he ain't apologized, hey, well, you got to see me.
No mercy.
The Athletic took a deep dive into the Lakers' upcoming season, and despite adding new pieces, they aren't expected to finish as high as last regular season. The biggest reasons cited were the expected load management of LeBron and the overall addition of Montrezl Harrell. The prediction has LA finishing 4th in the West. So, Shannon, how much do you disagree with this?
I've heard that before. I think last year somebody had them predicted to finish 4th or 5th in the West.
Really?
Yeah, and somehow they finished the #1 seed in the Western Conference.
That's bubble-licious.
Yeah, no. They finished the #1 seed before they got to the bubble. Remember, Skip? Because after we beat the Clippers on opening night in the bubble, it was null and void. We didn't even care about anything else. But anyway, look, there's some facts to what this article is saying. I do believe they will monitor LeBron. I don't believe he will play 72 games. I got him somewhere between 58 and 62 ball games.
Okay.
That's what I got him at.
Yep.
But I believe they're better overall because they can score more. And I think with Schroeder being the addition, they can run the offense. Now, it's going to be as they build, and he'll get better with AD. He'll get better playing with LeBron. Where I'm going to disagree with him is that Trez can't play with LeBron and AD. Because, Skip, you're not going to have to run any plays for him. Trez runs to the rim. He gets second chance points. A lot of Trez points come. So one of our guys misses, he gets it and puts it back or gets fouled. That's where it's points. So it's not like you're running an offense or you're running your offense through Trez. But to say, and I believe, they might not look as impressive as they did last year. But the #4 seed, what has the Clippers done? Personnel-wise, other than they had Ty Lue. The Nuggets, they lost Jeremy Grant and Torrey Craig. The Rockets, they're a mess.
You skipped over Serge Ibaka, right? I'll take Serge Ibaka over Montrezl Harrell.
But we got Schroeder also. Y'all needed you told me you needed a point guard.
We did not get a point guard.
You told me if y'all got Rondo, it was over. You're going to be the champs, and you were coming up out of the basement. Well, you got no point guard. Your point guard is the same guy that you had last year, which averaged about 3 more assists than I averaged, and I hadn't had a basketball in my hand in 30 years. So with that being said, I do not see them as a 4 seed. I still see them as the team to beat in the Western Conference, and GOAT James will be as great as ever. And baby GOAT, that's why I'm predicting he'll probably win the MVP because he's going to shoulder more of the scoring load, especially when GOAT James is out. So 28 for AD, 28, 9, and 2.
Okay. So I want to remind everyone that the architect of this piece, the writer of this piece, is John Hollinger, who is regarded as the ultimate analytical guru in this league and once worked for the Memphis Grizzlies as the brains of their operation for a while.
Yeah.
So when he speaks, I listen.
Yeah, okay.
And he spoke loudly on this, and he made a lot of piercing points here. And his first big point is that the chasm between the top two Laker players and the third best player is vast. The chasm is vast.
That was always the case. What was the chasm between last year?
Playoff Rondo.
No. But Skip, you talking about playoff Rondo. What about the regular season? So you can't see, that's what everybody always does. That's what the Clippers did. They're going to go straight to the playoffs. What about the regular season? The chasm is just as there.
Okay. So he's not real bullish. He loves Schroeder and that as the sort of the catalyst of the second unit. That works for him. But he, to quote him, I'm less bullish on the Montrezl Harrell signing. It's because he can't play effectively with LeBron and AD. He was a playoff dud for the Clippers because he is a liability on defense.
The Clippers weren't playoff duds.
He is a rim roller. He is a rim roller.
So what were the Clippers?
He can't rim roll with AD. It won't work because it's going to force AD to stand out on the perimeter and say, can I shoot a three out here?
Skip, you keep saying Trez was a dud. What was the Clippers team?
Well, he was a dud. He didn't want to be, as none of them wanted to really be in the bubble, but he definitely did not want to be in the bubble.
So Kawhi wanted to be there.
Very late, and you know the rest of the story. So he's saying this year's Lakers, he says, he's stressing, I give them a really good chance of repeating, but I just don't think this team is set up to win a bunch of regular season games. And he makes the point that their point differential last year was the point differential of a team that won 4 fewer games than they won, right? They won 5 fewer games because he had them as 48 and 23 off their point differential, right?
So hold on. He had them winning 53 games last year in an 82-game schedule. They won 53 games in a what kind of schedule? And so I'm supposed to take what he says to the bank now?
Okay. And then he makes this point. It's a powerful point. LeBron James went all out in the regular season last year and was helped by the break before the bubble. Well, it was the greatest break of his career. He got to revitalize, refresh, heal up for the playoff run in the bubble.
He was the only one, huh?
Well, no, but he's the one who was in his 17th year.
So let me ask you a question. So if LeBron James gets that break, he doesn't win the finals, then what are they saying?
Well, he got the break.
No, exactly. But Kawhi got a break. Kawhi had surgery on his knees. Paul George had surgery on his both shoulders. Giannis had just gotten injured. So what did that do for them? Don't try to minimize what GOAT James did.
17th year, and you got that break?
I couldn't tell.
Thank you, gods. Thank you.
So what about the other guys that were injured in the 8th and 9th year?
So he believes that LeBron will load management this year. And LeBron said last year, load management is not my style. LeBron doesn't load manage. He went third person and said, well, this year he thinks that Hollinger thinks he will load manage all year.
Skip.
So that's going to hurt some.
Skip, exactly. It hurts the MVP. But Skip, you're talking about load management in an 82-game season where everything is normal. Nothing is normal now. We're in a pandemic, 72 games in a condensed season.
Okay.
So, of course, he's going to load management. And you're 18 at 36 years of age.
Here's Hollinger's touche point. He said, yes, the Clippers do the same thing, load managed with the Kawhi, but the Lakers' rivals have a much deeper team than the Lakers do.
I couldn't
John
tell.
Hollinger.
Really?
Interesting.
Really?
Much deeper team.
Really?
The Lakers' depth, says John Hollinger, the pieces just aren't that good. They went all in on an old Gasol. You like that? I told you he's glacially slow.
Everybody said the same thing last year. John Hollinger wrote the same thing last year. The Clippers bench is deeper than the Lakers, and that's not. So I just want to know. At some point in time, he'll be right, and he gets to say, I told you. But what can we call to the carpet when he's wrong?
Sure.
Like last year. He was dead wrong.
I don't think he predicted the pandemic last year, because I don't think anybody.
So what's he predicting now?
Well, he's predicting a shortened season with a lot of load management, and that the Clippers are deeper than the Lakers.
Why are the Clippers deeper? No JaMychal Green. Look at the guys that they lost.
Wait a second. Look at the guys you lost. Rondo, Dwight Howard, Danny Green. Whew. You want to talk about experience? You want to talk about edge?
But you told me Danny Green came and go. When I was hyping Danny Green, you was like, okay, just when you least expect it.
Okay, but I told you, but he will also electrify you when you least expect it. And he played for San Antonio, and they won championships. He went to Toronto championship, LA championship. He knows how to play. THT on TNT. I can't wait for the promos. He's done what?
And I know what you've been seeing. You don't know the other guy? Cool.
The last playoff game I saw THT play in, he was an Iowa State Cyclone, and he was playing against Ohio State, which was an 11 seed against his team's 6 seed. He scored a total of 2 points in that game, and they got
Did
upset.
you see him against the Rockets?
2 points.
Did you see him against the Rockets in the bubble?
Preseason.
Okay, what about Kuz? Tell me Kuz. If the Kuz that we're seeing right now, is anything like this in the regular season, we peachy.
Has he ever been?
Yeah, he about to be. He about to be. So now we got
the Lakers are not as good as they were last year, and they're not going to get the benefit of 5 months off before a bubble.
So let me ask you a question. Who in the Western Conference is better than what they were last year?
Who's better? I don't know. Denver looks a little better to me.
They lost Jeremy Grant. They lost Plumlee. They lost Torrey Craig, and they're better.
Yeah.
Really?
They're good.
Did you see Jeremy Grant in the Western Conference Finals?
I'm not going to sleep on the Clippers. I'm not saying they got better, but they sure didn't get any worse.
Hey, but we got worse.
You got worse.
Let me ask you a question. Which one of those guys left? LeBron or AD?
Well, if there's no bubble, then LeBron actually is going to have to fly to playoff games. You know how hard that is in your 18th season?
Skip, we put foots in you. Remember?
You didn't put any foots in us.
Yes, we did.
No.
Last time we played y'all.
We put foots in us.
We got triple-double. We got a triple-double, and you blamed that on Avery Bradley. Avery Bradley didn't even come to the bubble, and we put foots in you again.
Well, you didn't play us in the bubble.
Yes, we did over the day.
Okay, it didn't matter.
No, the
Clippers didn't even want to be in the bubble.
That ain't my fault.
Jared Dudley said that.
You should have opted out. You could have opted out.
They tried to opt out.
We did. We put you out. The Nuggets put you out. That's what Jokic, you heard what Jokic said? Everybody keeps saying about, the Clippers did this. What about what the Nuggets did? Jokic put foots in you. Murray put foots in you.
Asterisk.
Ain't no asterisk. Ain't no asterisk. No this, Skip. Don't try to minimize our hard work.
I'm minimizing it because you proved little to nothing.
You're a hater. That's what you do.
No, I'm just telling you the
truth.
The
bottom line is the Lakers are going to be good again.
No mercy.
Kawhi Leonard made an appearance on Jimmy Kimmel Live this week and showed more personality than he normally lets out during post-game interviews. So check out some of the highlights from this interview.
You brought 12 apples to the table, red apples. You sat there with a knife and fork and ate each apple and said, "It's apple time, apple time."
Who came up with that story right
That is
there?
not true?
You must have seen. No.
Do you have your hands with you right now? May we see them?
Yeah, let me find them.
Okay. Like when you were a baby, did you have hands the size of a regular man at that time?
Well, I mean, as a baby, I wouldn't know, but like my mom told me when I came out, everybody looked at my hands and said they were so big, but I think I get them from my dad.
Yeah. Are there disadvantages to having huge hands like that?
Putting my hands in my own pockets, like sometimes it's just way too small.
Your new shoe, your New Balance shoe, the Kawhi Christmas.
Hey, I like what I see right there, the Snow Watson shoe. And I got the inspiration from a Snow Watson.
What is that?
It's a creature that, pretty much hibernates through the summertime, and then their fur turns white during the winter. And, that's where I pretty much got the concept from, because with basketball, you really don't see me that much. And once the season comes, the beast is released. And
Shannon, what did you learn about Kawhi from this interview?
Yeah, he can't put his hands in his pocket because he's wearing them skinny butt jeans. If nobody can put their hands in the pocket of them skinny jeans, get some jeans to fit, and let's start with that. Skip, Jimmy Kimmel got as much personality out of Kawhi as he could possibly get, Skip. He doesn't have a big outgoing.
They also had Billy Crystal on, the Ultimate Clippers fan. He got a lot out of Kawhi.
Skip, that's just not Skip. It's hard.
Yep.
Because normally we see guys like Kobe and LeBron and Jordan, Charles Barkley, guys just magnanimous, just light up a room. And that's not him. But I guess Jimmy Kimmel got as much out of Kawhi as we could possibly expect.
So what amazed me about this interview was this is a two-time Defensive Player of the Year, two-time Finals MVP, for the longest time my favorite player, and I don't know anything about him. I learned a lot last night.
What you learned?
I learned that he's weird funny, like unintentionally funny. My hands are too big to even get in my pocket. That's funny. I was laughing out loud at it.
Jeans.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't put your hands in your pocket with jeans. First of all, who puts their hands in their pockets anyway? Okay. Everybody carrying messenger bags now. Well, nobody put nothing in no pockets.
It's a start, and then he's talking about his new Christmas shoes, and he's talking about this creature. I don't know if it's fiction or fact called the snow wasset, and I'm going, what's that?
I'd never heard of
that. A snow wasset?
It hibernates. Well, consider that it's a snow. It hibernates in the summer. No jive.
Yeah, well, again, that's Kawhi Leonard. Weird funny. I'm laughing. I thought it was the funniest Kawhi interview I've ever seen because this is the first Kawhi interview, except for he did How Hungry Are You, that YouTube special with Serge Ibaka.
Now let my guy. Let the king of L.A. Let him on the Kimmel and watch how he take the show over. He should do SNL. He should do the SNL log, and it will rival Chappelle, guaranteed.
You know, Kawhi would really work on SNL.
Bad, you
he'd take it over, just like he's taking over.
He can't ad-lib like that.
Yes, he can.
I would like to see Kawhi on SNL, but that's all we have for you guys today. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We'll be back Monday at 9:30 Eastern.